assessment.
I wish they would have given a little more catch up, given the fact that it's been 7 months since the last episode aired.
Yeah.
But it was a good episode to start on. It had that humor aspect, and so there's a little bit of a lightheartedness. Didn't dive like directly back into specifics of what was going on. Like, you were able to kind of sort of dust off the cobwebs.
Right. I think that episode was created very intentionally.
Well, because it should have been a coming back from a mid-season finale.
Yeah.
But then COVID hit, and they couldn't finish any of those episodes. Like, they were all filmed.
They were all filmed?
All except for, like, the last two. They were
Okay.
filmed, but they couldn't, like, edit them.
Okay. So this wasn't intentionally a filler episode because COVID.
No. It was, I think, unless they messed with unless they jumbled up how to get back in.
Right.
But even that, like, it still seems kind of like it definitely wasn't a season premiere sort of episode. Like, they are sticking with their timeline. In fact, I don't even know. No, it wouldn't have been a mid-season finale, because that would have been in like December.
Well, see, but they couldn't have had it all filmed because editing work can be done remotely.
I think it had to do with like sound, like stuff that they needed to.
They needed to be there together.
Yeah.
It's just funny because they had that line where they told her what she was like. Dean told Mrs. Butters, "It's 2020." And she's like, "You've been so busy." Like, yeah, it's like apocalypse after apocalypse. It's like, was that a 2020 joke, or is that just the show?
I think it's just the show. Honestly, that's what I got from it.
It fits.
It fits. Anywho.
All right, let's dive in.
So, all right. Name of the episode: Last Holiday.
Last Holiday.
Jack has his soul back. Which, again, we should have like done some kind of a recap before diving back in, because all I really remember from the last episode was Ruby and basically the chick who played the actresses who play Ruby and that angel that I can't remember her name are Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, like real life spouses.
Right.
And like they had a meeting at the end of the last episode, and it's pretty much all I remember. I was falling asleep a lot.
Yeah, and the angel is the one who basically peddles her powers.
Yeah. The evangelist sort of.
Just trying to make it in the world kind of a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot I remember from like the last couple of episodes from the last season. Not last season, but before the break. So Jack has his soul back. Amara is back in play, which I can't remember the specifics of that, but I know basically, based on context, they have to kill both Chuck and Amara.
Right. There's some kind of a neither can live while the other survives kind of or no, that's not accurate, but it's the line that popped in my head. But yeah, they're like Because Chuck and Amara are kind of in cahoots now. And
Well, because you can't have it. Because they're using God as a yin yang character.
right. And you're kind of
Balance.
assuming one really shouldn't exist without the other.
That's why I think a lot of people do that with God and Satan.
Right.
God can absolutely live without Satan.
Yeah, and that's, man, I can't remember the conversation I was having. No, it was one of the podcasts we listened to. It was like, even though secular society likes to show God and Satan as
Equal,
the power for good and the power for evil, it's like, actually, Satan's counterpart is Saint Michael.
Yes. I think that was the Feast of Guardian Angels.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. No, not Guardian,
Archangels.
Archangels. But anyway. Go Luigi.
What do we just call the plumbers? Go Luigi. Call the Super Mario Brothers.
Turn it off, turn it back on again. Ha! It works.
IT.
And then we meet Mrs. Butters. Mrs. Butters. From 1958. She placed the bunker in standby mode. Must be running on Windows or something.
So yeah, she her magic helps power and maintain the bunker.
She's a wood nymph.
She's a wood nymph. And when the Men of Letters from 1958 went on a mission, didn't come back, she placed everything on standby to be activated when they return.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't for 60 years because Sam and Dean.
Right.
Because they rebooted the system and it removed standby mode, much like a Windows computer.
So, we have a monster radar. Hello, Ex Machina plot device.
Yeah, well, that didn't last.
Yep.
I was kind of thinking that was going to be like a... You know how shows like to switch it up right in the last season? Here's a new thing that you can use.
But they know that magic can power the thing now. They don't... Spoiler alert, they don't necessarily need Mrs. Butters
Fair.
to do it.
They know the technology or the magic or whatever it is that powers it. They know that exists.
Does it have to be specifically her magic, or can it be
Someone's magic.
some kind of spell?
Interesting point. Because that would be nice.
I said, they have a grandma now. It was so sweet.
It
was so sweet. I loved it. I loved all the montages and everything.
I really enjoyed that. The sack lunches just cracked me up.
I mean, that was definitely the same scene run over and over again, which is probably like a COVID thing.
Was it? I tried to notice, but
I like the very last one. I was like, wait a minute. They're running this the same exact way. And I just now realize that that's probably a COVID thing. Ignoring your trauma doesn't make you healthy. Sure it does.
I enjoyed their banter.
So then we saw that. So the Monster Raider had showed a nest of vampires.
Mm.
So Sam and Dean are like, oh, let's go get the vampires. But then we saw, the audience saw them using bagged blood.
Right.
They were vegetarian. They were good vampires. They weren't looking to kill people.
They just
Sam
wanted
and
to hang out.
Dean rock on in,
Yep.
behead them.
And it's all over. So that was our first clue that the monster radar is
It's just a monster radar.
it's objective. It doesn't detect threats.
Right. Those vampires were not threats.
Right. Which will come back later. Well, as far as Mrs. Butters' assessment of things, which does her opinion affect the monster radar?
I could go go back and forth on that.
Sure, yeah, we didn't see enough of it in action to really make an assessment on that.
And maybe if they do find a way to magically power it up,
Will the whole thing just light up?
maybe that will be
The way they find Chuck or something. Of course, the Men of Letters in 1958 probably would not have assessed Chuck, God, to be a threat.
Right. So Mrs. Butters encounters, like actually face-to-face encounters Jack for the first time. They had a between the door thing, which was, and she says, "What are you?" She senses he's a monster.
Yeah.
And she keeps giving him smoothies. What's in the smoothie?
What's in the smoothies? We find out later.
Sam has Monier.
Huh?
Sam has
Mjolnir. Oh, yeah.
Monier?
Yeah,
A Tommy gun and Monier. Like, what the hell?
yeah, during the montages of Sam and Dean breaking into things, at one point they blast open a door, and Sam has a huge freaking gun, or Dean has a huge freaking gun, and Sam has Mjolnir,
It's a Tommy gun.
was it?
It looked like it to me.
And Sam has Mjolnir, Thor's hammer.
Yeah. That was weird.
They love their props.
So then we go on, and Jack caught Mrs. Butters looking through files. The file had an 8mm video about her, subject B. Would nymphs react violently when home or family is threatened? Jack, son of a bitch.
Pulling from Dean's vocabulary there a bit.
Yeah, I love
Son
that.
of a bitch.
And he frantically tries to look for Sam, and Mrs. Butcher's like, "Oh, Sam is getting ready for a date." A date? He's going on a date with Eileen.
Yay! Eileen reference. We love Eileen.
Jeez, this
Look.
is Buffy all over again. He has a soul now.
Yeah, I got a lot of Buffy vibes from her whole, you did bad things, and it's like, yeah, but was that before he was sold? When he killed Mary? Or was it like recently?
So I
after?
think what happened was he killed her, and then he died, and then he came back, but he came back without a soul. And then something happened, and I can't remember what, but then he got his soul back.
Yeah. And so it's the whole Angel and Spike thing from Buffy all over again. Just like, you did these bad things, but it's like, yeah, but they were monsters then, and then they got a soul, and that should change things. But prejudice gonna prejudice, I guess.
Damn it, Mrs. Butters. So she meant for Jack to find that, and because she wanted to lure him into a bloodlust, and she's like, what did you feel? He's like, he's like, did you think I was gonna get bloodthirsty over that? She's like, aren't you? He's like, no.
Which is weird. I mean, why did she do that? If it wasn't
Because she sensed he was a monster. She thought he was just
sure
playing.
Sure, but if it was a test, it seemed like he passed. So what was the value in doing it?
But she doesn't believe him. Because prejudice is going to prejudice.
Sure. Which leads me back to why do it in the first place? If you're convinced...
She might have been trying to get proof for Sam and Dean.
Oh, okay.
The smoothies were weakening Jack.
The jawbone for texture.
Yeah. And then she gives Dean a sandwich. You need your strength. We need to go kill Jack. What?
He looks at the sandwich with such longing.
He does.
Damn it.
The way Isaac looks at his snacks. Da. 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 Sorry. I was channeling my son for a moment. But then Sam comes back from his date and she kind of fills him in. And he's like,
we can go kill Sam and Dean together.
like, so can he pull this off?
And she was so matter of fact about it. Very trusting of Sam. And Sam, he played it better than Dean did, but not great.
No. But when they were talking on the phone and, why didn't you call me? Well, you were with Eileen. And then just Dean being the ultimate wingman. Like,
Ultimate wingman.
It's been a while, I imagine.
That's what Dean said.
Dean and Jax talk. I'm trying. He's being honest. So yeah, Dean was like, I was really angry. I might still be angry, but I'm trying. And I like that Jack was just like, okay.
Yeah.
He didn't ostrich. He was just like, yep, this is
Yeah.
this is.
It was like, but Dean, I've gone through. No, he was like, yeah. I killed the guy's mom. He needs a little space, but Dean was so straightforward. It was like really refreshing on a communication level.
And he didn't want to be, but he recognized the situation they were in, and that's why he's like, okay, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what you do sometimes.
Yeah.
You're just like, you know what? Let's not skirt around this issue. Let's just meet it head on. Acknowledge what the problem is. Talk it out, and we're good. Like we did tonight. And that's why I wanted to acknowledge it right away, because I didn't want to do this whole drama.
Holding a grudge. I'm fine. But I'm not really fine. Yeah.
I wanted to meet it head on.
That's what you do. And yeah. Well, and that was well played, by the way.
Well, I didn't mean well played, but...
No, that's fine. Anyway.
Another thing.
Dean... It's something you don't see enough of in shows today.
Yeah.
And it's something that Supernatural has been real bad at in the past.
Just talk.
Just getting to, like, did you not just have a 7-hour drive? How was there no communication? Like, you do a little driving montage, and then they're still pissed at each other when they get there, and it's like, have you ever been on a road trip? Come on. So, it was nice to see Dean just be like, yeah, look, it hurt, I'm pissed, I'm trying, because intellectually, I understand where you're at now. But my mom was just killed, and I'm allowed to be a little pissed. Let's put that aside so we can solve the situation right now.
But I think this might be why he was a little more willing to use Jack as the way to get out of the
He was working out some things. Yeah, he was like, point your back towards the door. Fring!
Mr. Cuthbert really messed her up.
Yeah.
Like, he tortured her into submission. And she did the same thing. Ah, the fingernails.
Sorry, I just nailed my martini.
That's
Yeah.
smart.
I could have done without the plentiful visuals of the fingernail removal. Ah! You have a smoke?
Sure. It says facility failing without Mrs. B's magic. So, okay. They had the big confrontation, and they were like, Jack is going to save the world.
Well,
And I almost thought she was going to explode.
I actually wrote that down when they reset to make her disappear.
Because it said, will she stay or will she go home?
Okay. I had a lack of notes, I guess, at that point. But
Yeah.
fair enough. So, yeah, when they reset the system, pipes started bursting again. And, stuff started going wrong like it had been previously because she wasn't there.
Right.
And then it happens again at the end of the episode.
Oh, okay. Sure.
But that's when I wrote that down. Pardon me.
So then she comes back, there's this whole thing. He's going to save the world. And I literally thought she was going to explode. Like that. That personal contradiction.
Sure, okay.
But she didn't. She stayed sweet. She healed Sam's fingers. She apologized. It was all good.
Mm-hmm.
But then she decided because they were like, Cuthbert messed you up. Do you want to go home? It's like me when I'm trying to, I have a thing I want to do, but I don't want to admit I want to do it.
I think she would have stayed if they'd asked her to.
Oh, she definitely would have. But they gave her the choice.
Not even. Jack said, then it's decided. Because I think even they knew if they gave her the choice, it would be too conflicting for her. She might feel bad. They're like, no, you're going home.
And not because we want you to.
Right, but because it's the right thing to do.
Because that's what you want.
Yeah, that too. I can't help but wonder if we haven't seen the last of her.
Well, and I'm a little concerned.
Oh.
So, the interdimensional geoscope. I looked earlier and didn't see anything. That's not good. Where did she come from? Did they just send her off to someplace that no longer exists? Did she immediately cease to be upon going there? Is she of their world?
I mean, I guess the Minaletters would have had interdimensional travel if they had the scope, but given the lore that this show is explored in their world, I would assume she's from their world. I mean, and they told her before she left.
Well, and I guess if he had said that and she said, oh, that's not good, if she knew she was from another dimension,
then she probably wouldn't.
She would be like,
gone.
I'm gonna stay.
Maybe I'll just hang out. But
we
knew that Chuck is removing other dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and they knew because Billy told them.
Yeah, so I think that was just a reference to that. Like, they have this technology seeing other dimensions. Not too helpful now because most of them are gone.
But it's interesting that the way they played off that scene was like, Dean, he said it kind of in an offshoot way, like, oh, it's not working or something, but he already should know that he shouldn't expect to see anything because of what Billy told them. Right?
Well, it's Dean. He probably didn't know what it did, even after she called it an interdimensional geoscope.
Sure. Okay.
Well, I looked at it and I didn't see anything. Which my thought was he didn't see anything because she wasn't powering it, but no, it's because the other dimensions are gone.
That's not good.
That's probably not good. So, yeah, and we've seen that thing in the background a number of times in the bunker, and nobody's ever explained it. Now it's like, oh, it's this thing. Doesn't do anything now. It's kind of like, oh, okay.
Goodbye, boys. Any chance we see her again? It's in its finale. They had a connection to her. Maybe. But it was a one-off episode, so maybe not.
Yeah. Do we have a number on how many episodes are left? I'm just saying, if the entire world is threatened, she's a pretty powerful ally who has a like for the world.
So, full episode or full seasons tend to be like 22.
Mm-hmm.
This one might be 20.
Because of reasons.
Well, no, I think it was supposed to be 20.
Oh.
Because I think they had filmed up through 18. Because 18 is sticking out my head. So I think they had filmed up through 18, but then couldn't do 19 and 20, the last 2 episodes.
Gotcha.
And this was 14.
Okay.
So we should have 5 left. And I'm sure the last 2 they'll...
You said this was 12?
14.
Why is it 12? Okay, yeah, so 6 left. 15, 16, 17, 18, 20.
Six left. It's possible we could see her again, but again...
6 episode gap. And just plot-wise, I think it would make sense for her to come back because hella super powerful creature threatened if the world is being threatened. That's got to be a thing, right?
Maybe.
They've certainly been pulling everyone else back. Of course, that was, this is somebody who was introduced this episode pretty late in the game. But I just, again, plot-wise, she is an ally as of right now.
Yes.
And she is crazy powerful. And she happens to like being in the world. To that says to me, if they're pulling in all allies, she should be a part of that.
Sure.
And, series finales, you tend to pull in all allies.
Then we have the scene of, the closing scene. Jack and Sam are talking. Jack asks Sam, do you really think I can do this? He says, you're the only one who can. That's not an answer, but honest.
Yeah, I think it was well worded.
Yeah.
Sam's a realist. He has never really shared in Dean's optimism.
Which is weird because Dean...
is a cynic.
Yeah.
But he's a cynic in a different way.
Yeah.
He's confident in himself.
Yeah.
He's just cynical about the world. So, yeah. Do you really think I can do this? Sam wasn't willing to answer that. Because...
He was truthful, but not. Sorry.
Yeah. Because you're facing off against the creator, He probably doesn't have a very good outlook on that. But, again, truthful. You're the only one that can. And I think Jack, I don't want to say bought it, because it wasn't really a trick, but I think he accepted that.
Yeah. And then Dean made Jack a birthday cake, which was really cute. Make a wish. Blow on the candle. Fade to black. What was his wish?
What was a wish? Doesn't matter.
Is he powerful enough to
have something occur?
Is he a djinn?
Yeah, right. He was still probably pretty weak from the smoothies at that point. But, I don't know, there's something poignant about it. What was his wish? Maybe it didn't have any magical effects, but I'd like to know what he wished.
Same.
And yeah, just Dean making the effort, I think, was a big character point, too.
Oh, yeah. That was really cute.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's not as good as Mrs. Butters, but... It was cute. I gotta pee.
Oh.
That's all I got.
I don't have to pee. But, yeah, I think I was spent. Okay.
Okay.